New York Giants Week 7 game preview. The Giants are in Philadelphia on Thursday night. The game is a -4.5 for Philly, so I mean, it does make sense. I think the Eagles deserve to be favored based on the past history of the Giants. I think I heard on the radio that the Giants have lost their last 20 of 24 meetings against the Eagles, so that's definitely not good. That's like a 12-year sample size right there. They play them 2 times a year, so definitely not good. Tomorrow it's an 8:20 game. A lot of stuff to go over here. A lot of injuries in this game. That's the first thing we'll talk about, honestly. So basically, for the Eagles offense, I always want to say Phillies, the Eagles offense, they only have 2 players starting that were supposed to be Week 1 starters. So Alshon Jeffrey's not there. Deshaun Jackson's a maybe. I think he's going to play. Marquise Goodwin opted out. Jalen Reagor, their draft pick, is out. Andre Dillard was supposed to be the left tackle. He was out the whole year. Jason Peters filled in at left tackle. He's out. Then they have Isaac Siamalu, I think it's pronounced maybe, their left guard. He's out. Brandon Brooks, as we know, with the Achilles. He's out. Lane Johnson, I forget if Lane Johnson's in or not. I think he's trending towards playing. We'll see about that one. There's a chance he misses as well. Jack Driscoll, another tackle for this team. So they have a ton of injuries on offense. Like, there is no excuse right now for the Giants defense not to play well in this game. We'll get to that later. And for the Giants, they have some injuries of their own, of course. We talk about Saquon Barkley, the potential of getting a Sterling Shepard back this game. Maybe Darius Slayton misses. Maybe he plays. I'll get into my thoughts about that later. And even Tate Crowder, a guy at linebacker who played really well last week. Unfortunately, he's on the IR now. So the Giants have some injuries of their own, but it's not to the extent of the Eagles. So the Giants definitely have an advantage there. I think I missed Miles Sanders, by the way. I forgot to list him. Miles Sanders, their running back, very good player. He's out as well, but Boston Scott killed the Giants last year, so we'll see. But let's hop into the Giants offense as we always do first. So the first note is that the Eagles still have a good defensive line, despite not having the best linebackers, even some holes in their secondary. But their defensive line still has some good names. Derek Barnett's here. I know Malik Jackson's out this game, which the Giants definitely benefit from. Josh Sweat is still a defensive end for this team. Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox, as we all know, and even Brandon Graham, who had a couple of sacks last week, I believe. So don't forget about those guys. It's still a tough defensive line. No, it's not to the extent of like a team like the Steelers or something like that, but I'm pretty sure I wrote down the Eagles right now rank 3rd in the NFL in sacks per game at 3.5. So that's something to watch out for. The Giants' offensive line, while it's looked better at times recently, is still not that great. So that's something to be concerned about. There's times where our quarterback struggles to hold on to the ball, times where he might hold on to the ball too long, and a mixture of having a not so good offensive line sometimes can be a very scary mixture for this game. Talked about Malik Jackson. He'll be out for this game. The Giants definitely benefit with that one. Now, the Eagles have allowed 125.5 rushing yards per game. The Giants aren't the best rushing team out there, but when Daniel Jones runs some read option plays and things like that, it really gets their run game going. He had the 49-yard run last week. I think Daniel Jones had 70-something rushing yards last week, so that was good to see. Hopefully, we see more of that in this game. Hopefully, Devontae Freeman gets around 15 carries or so in this game and is pretty efficient. Over 4 yards a carry would be nice, so we'll see if he can do that. Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton. So I talked about them briefly before. Shepard is eligible to come off the IR this week. I don't think he's going to play. I heard someone on the radio say he's not going to play, most likely. They'll probably try to see if he's a go in the warm-ups. If not, then he'll sit. Darius Slayton, I think, has a better chance to play right now, so I'm expecting him to play. He's probably not 100%, but hopefully the extended rest after this game will get Slayton back closer to 100%. So Daniel Jones, he has to be good under pressure in this game. I just talked about how good the Eagles' defensive line is and how inconsistent our offensive line is. And honestly, for the Giants' offensive line, I don't know who's starting. You know, your guess is as good as mine, honestly. Do they go back to Andrew Thomas? Do they stick with Matt Peart at left tackle? I'm not really sure. I mean, I think left tackle and right tackle is definitely something to watch out for this week. I feel like since Thomas was the 4th overall pick, they play him. I don't think they're going to bench him flat out, but I guess it wouldn't shock me because this coaching staff has shown that if you're not performing to the level they expect you to, you're not going to play. It doesn't matter what your title is. So we'll see. I'm definitely very interested to see what happens there. I don't know when they'll tell us who's starting. Maybe it's minutes before the game, honestly, like we saw last week with the Andrew Thomas situation. I guess we'll wait and see, but I'm very interested to see what happens personally. So, as I said, Daniel Jones has to avoid the bad turnover. It happens game after game. He played a turnover-free pregame last week for a large portion of the game. Then late in the third quarter through the interception, where it might not have been an interception, but still a very bad decision. So you have to avoid that stuff in a game like this. And as I said in my post-game reaction to the Washington game, the Giants can't play at that level and expect to beat a team like the Eagles. As beat up as they are injury-wise, the Eagles are still a better team than Washington. You cannot play to that level the Giants played on Sunday. They have to play a step above that, in my opinion, to win this game. So another thing, I know I say this pretty much every week. I said it last week for sure. But the Eagles have a clear weakness at linebacker. Try to get Evan Engram and even Caden Smith if you want in some favorable matchups on their linebackers and try to exploit that in the passing game. What good teams do is they exploit a team's weakness. The Eagles have a clear and obvious weakness at their linebacker position. You have one of the most athletic tight ends in the league at Evan Engram. Try to use him on those linebackers that aren't too good. I think it makes too much sense to me, but you never know with Jason Garrett. So we'll see about that one. For the Giants defense, Carson Wentz, he has 11 turnovers this year. I believe he's been sacked the most in the NFL so far for any quarterback, 25 times this year. He is second in the NFL, just trailing Kirk Cousins in the interceptions. So yes, he's been very turnover prone this year. They put a lot on Carson Wentz. I feel like his blocking has been worse than the Giants' offensive line this year. It's been pretty rough for him at times. Some of his weapons are not there, obviously. Not having Zach Ertz and not having Dallas Goedert, not having Deshaun Jackson for a while, Jalen Reagor, now Miles Sanders. Like, there's everything stacked against a guy like Carson Wentz. Now, I still think Wentz is very talented, and he definitely can single-handedly win at the game for the Eagles, but at the same time, he has everything stacked against him, so we'll see. So can the Giants get pressure on him? They probably should based on the Eagles' offensive line injuries, but I guess we'll see. So I just talked about it here, their offensive injuries. I think they have 5 starters of their offensive line that are out. I mean, not like official starters because Jason Kelce is still there, but let me look real quick because I think from their preseason, they have a lot of injuries. I mean, I talked about it before briefly. Andre Dillard, left tackle. Jason Peters was a fill-in for him at left tackle. Both of those guys are out. I think their starting left tackle was like a rugby player, so like he's new to football. I think it's Jordan, I don't know how to pronounce it, Mailata or something like that. But yeah, he's not like been around for a while. He's a rugby player trying to play left tackle. I think he's had his issues this year, so we'll see. Their left guard is out. Their right guard, Brooks, is out. Right tackle, Lane Johnson's going to play, but even Jack Driscoll, who filled in for him at some points, is out as well. So a lot of offensive line injuries for the Eagles. The Giants should hopefully be able to get some pressure on Carson Wentz in this game, which would be nice because if they can force some turnovers and maybe get another defensive touchdown, that would definitely be something that can turn this game around, just like it did on Sunday against Washington. So we'll see. Tay Crowder is out for this game, unfortunately. He'll miss this game and the next 2 based on the IR and how that works. And Darnay Holmes, who I think was got hurt last game, I think it might have been a shoulder injury or something like that. He's questionable for this game. If he's out, I expect Logan Ryan to kind of fill into that slot role. It seemed like the Giants wanted to do that. Maybe the Giants, honestly, with Crowder out and maybe Holmes, have like another safety in there. Do they play Love? Do they try to play Jabril Peppers? Do they play another safety in there? Like, I don't know how they're going to do it, but they might throw in like a more athletic type lineup and maybe take away one extra linebacker. Maybe if they want to play David Mayo, we'll see what the personnel groupings are on defense if Holmes is out. If not, I expect Holmes to be the guy in the slot, but we'll have to see. So while I talked about Philly having a lot of offensive injuries, they still have guys to watch out for. So if you've been keeping up with the Eagles the past 2 weeks, there's this guy named Travis Fulgham who has been unbelievable, came out of nowhere. He absolutely lit up the Steelers 2 weeks ago, and the Steelers have a good defense, as we know, so that was very crazy to see. Had a nice game against Baltimore last week as well, made a nice jump ball catch in the end zone for a touchdown. He's a guy to watch out for, a possible emerging star in the NFC East. There is, I'm forgetting his first name. Why am I forgetting his first name? Ward, what is his first name? Greg Ward, wow. Greg Ward, typical slot receiver. If Darnay Holmes is out, once again, that could bode well for a guy like Greg Ward. Seems like him and Carson Wentz always have good chemistry, so we'll see what happens there with him. And then Boston Scott, a guy who absolutely torched the Giants last year. I feel like he had a 2 or 3 touchdown game against them last year. Played well against the Giants in both meetings. And the Giants could not contain him last year. Can they do it this year? I don't know. And it scares me because the Giants had a lot of difficulties with a guy in J.D. McKissick with Washington last week, a very similar type player, a small guy who is shifty, very nifty, can make some catches, make guys miss in the flat, and pick up some extra yards. And Boston Scott can be that similar type back. They have to watch out for him, of course. it benefits the Giants to miss out on playing Miles Sanders, but Boston Scott is no schmuck or whatever himself, so watch out for him. So the Eagles have, as I said, 5 offensive lineman injuries. We talked about that one. And honestly, I wanted to throw this in there as well. The Eagles are a team that has been playing better recently. I talked about their game against Pittsburgh. They, I think they lost by 8 points or so, but that game was a lot closer than the score says. Like I know that Chase Claypool had like that 4-touchdown game and whatnot, but really the Eagles played pretty well in that game, and Carson Wentz looks like he's playing better. Like he's kind of cut down on the turnovers recently. He almost had a couple interceptions against Baltimore, but they were called back, I believe, or one of them was dropped as well. So I will say there's a lot of turnover-worthy plays from Carson Wentz, but I think him individually is playing about as well as he could based on the situation. So I do believe he's the type of quarterback that can single-handedly win this game for the Eagles. But I do have to say, as a team, the Eagles have been impressive. They've been very close with the Steelers. I know we were as well. And then Baltimore, they basically were a 2-point conversion in the end away from tying that game. Now, the Eagles were down 30-14 at one point. They made that late comeback, and they were 2 points short, and they definitely beat themselves in a lot of areas that game. So I feel like the Eagles, this is a game where they have to get right. I think the Eagles do win this game based on my score prediction. I have it as 20-13 Philadelphia. That would cover the spread for them. Look, I mean, of course, the Giants winning would be great. I would love to be tied for first place in the NFC East, but you guys know I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I'm going to say what's in my heart, and I honestly feel like the Eagles have the better team despite the injuries. Now, could the Giants come out and win this game? Absolutely. All it takes is like one defensive turnover that goes for a touchdown or something to go the Giants' way. I don't think the Eagles are a spectacular team. They're probably league average at best right now, and I wasn't even that high on them coming into the year anyway, so I don't think they're the best team. But the Giants didn't really play that well on Sunday to make me believe like all of a sudden this is going to be a winning football team. It's great that they won Sunday, as we know, but at the same time, I don't trust them to go out and play that well in this game. Like, I think the Giants still have a lot of deficiencies on this team. I trust their defense in this spot. I don't really trust the Giants' offense here. Once again, they had a defensive touchdown on Sunday, got their point total up to look better than it was. But the Giants' offense, outside of that 49-yard run by Daniel Jones and that Slayton touchdown down the left sideline, they really didn't do anything on offense. Like, this offense is not good, and the Eagles' defensive line is still pretty good. And, of course, the Eagles still have some good defensive players. We talked about their defensive line, and Darius Slay's still there. Jalen Mills is all right sometimes. Avonte Maddox can be all right. Nikel Roby-Coleman's a good slot guy. Rodney McLeod is all right. So, like, they don't have the worst people on this defense. It's not like a bunch of just nobodies on this defense. So I personally think it's going to be a tough matchup for the Giants here. As I said, I could see them winning, but just in my heart and just me being honest, I feel like the Eagles probably win this game by a touchdown. So we'll see. But hopefully the Giants win. It would be awesome to be in first place and be tied for it. The Cowboys are playing like crap, obviously. The Eagles are pretty injured and not playing well either. In Washington, I don't think they're legit, so we'll see. But hopefully the Giants do find a way. Let me know in the comments what you think the score is going to be. I'm sorry this video is only out 24 hours before the game, even less maybe, but tight schedule, and the Giants play Thursday, so it is what it is. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll have a video out tomorrow night for a reaction to this, hopefully reacting to a win, and I'll talk to you guys next time.